French President Emmanuel Macron, immediately after the European summit in London, proposed a temporary ceasefire plan on Russia-Ukraine front on behalf of himself and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The aim is to create more opportunities for the ultimate end of Russia's aggressive war against Ukraine. In the interview with Le Figaro, Macron emphasized that the proposal involves a 1-month ceasefire in the air, at sea, and in energy infrastructure to allow more time to resolve issues related to halting hostilities. Macron stated that in his and Starmer opinion, a limited ceasefire is necessary because a complete cessation of hostilities would be very difficult to control given the length of the front line. The deployment of a European peacekeeping contingent could not occur during this 1-month ceasefire, but later, not in the coming weeks, but after both sides discuss the details of a broader and long-lasting truce. We want peace, Macron stressed, but we do not want peace at any cost, without security guarantees for Ukraine. Thus, it is now possible to say that Macron and Starmer have presented US President Donald Trump with a plan that he could use to propose new conditions for ending the Russia-Ukraine war. If Trump demands a ceasefire from Russian President Vladimir Putin, this proposal could serve as a test for both Trump and Putin. Trump has repeatedly claimed that the Russian president is ready for peace, but for the US president, peace primarily means a ceasefire on the Russia-Ukraine front. Therefore, if Trump has any influence over the Russian leader, he can demonstrate it now. Likewise, Putin can show whether he is genuinely interested, if not in ending the war, then at least in de-escalating it, especially since this could help prevent further destruction of infrastructure, something Russia itself might be interested in. Russia's oil and refining infrastructure has suffered greatly from Ukrainian drone strikes, losing 20% of its energy revenues due to ongoing attacks. Moreover, if the incoming German federal government soon supplies Ukraine with Taurus missiles without restriction in their use, Russia could face even greater losses in its energy sector, some of which may never recover after the war ends. However, if for President Putin continuing the war against Ukraine is more critical priority than preserving his country's energy sector and economy, he may well refuse this temporary ceasefire. It is worth noting that this proposal is not even about a frontline ceasefire, but about stopping strikes on Ukrainian civilian areas, infrastructure targets, peaceful cities and villages, maritime infrastructure, and ships. In essence, Macron and Starmer are proposing that the Russian president sees what he has been brazenly doing for the past 3 years: stop terrorism. And terrorism, as we know, is Putin and his state's calling card. If Putin is genuinely willing to halt this terror even for a month, it would indicate a potential interest in either pausing the war or shifting to another form of conflict. It would also show whether Trump can influence Putin to agree to such a temporarily and relatively short cessation of hostilities. Additionally, this will be a measure of Trump's influence over Putin. At the moment, one thing is clear: European leaders are seizing the diplomatic initiative from the United States. In recent days, the US has been trying to shift blame and convince the world that Trump's failure to achieve any compromises in negotiation with Russia is not his fault or due to his unrealistic perceptions of Russian political goals, but rather the fault of Ukraine's president, the very country that Russia invaded in February 2022. The fact that European leaders are putting forward their own initiative, one they likely discussed with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the London summit, as well as with other leaders who were present and emphasized the need to increase support for Ukraine, demonstrates Europe's agency. This is the same agency that has been arrogantly underestimated by both the United States and Russian presidents. The real question is not whether Donald Trump is willing to take Europe into account when discussing an end to the Russia-Ukrainian war. He should, given his repeated statements that Europeans should be the future guarantors of Ukraine's security and the prevention of further conflict on its territory. The issue is whether Trump actually has the ability to persuade his Russian counterpart to make even the smallest concession on the battlefield, considering Putin's clear disdain for Europeans, whom he sees only as executors of US political will. Moreover, recent events at the White House have shattered a long-standing Russian propaganda myth. While Russian pseudo-patriots once called Zelensky an American puppet, he firmly pushed back against the US president's dismissive attitude. Meanwhile, Putin, the supposed leader of an independent Russia, seems to be searching for flattering words to address the US president as if working within his administration. Our time is one of myth-breaking, and in the coming weeks, we may also see the collapse of the myth that Trump can secure even a temporary ceasefire from Putin. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Slava Ukraini!